Hey guys, I'm Zach the Movie Fan, and I've been thinking recently, and because for those who don't know, I want to do a top 10 best and worst of list at the end of the hopefully get it out at December, and obviously I've discovered that there are a lot of different movies that I need to catch up on, so. In order to make time, I will be putting the Resident Evil movies as well as Like and Lunacy on hold. I especially think this would be a good idea though, because there's been a lot of different movies that have come out this year, so doing this will help break up the monotony a bit. I will also be going back to doing one video a week, most because I think like putting out more than one video a week, I think that just means that one video will get more attention than the other, blah blah blah. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about what's probably the biggest horror film to come out this month anyway. Let's talk about Weapons. Weapons is a horror film that is written and directed by Zach Cregger, who you may remember for directing the 2022 horror film Barbarian a couple years back. I should state, by the way, that I love Zach Cregger's other movie, Barbarian. I really enjoyed that film a lot. It's actually up there as my favorite horror film of that year. The only other thing that I think would top it would be The Black Phone, but that's just my opinion. So I was really excited to see what Zach Cregger had with this new film. And I'm happy to say that he did not disappoint. Weapons is really damn good. Like, this is a really damn good movie. However, talking about this movie is going to be a bit difficult for me because this is one of those films where all of your enjoyment, or most of it at least, will depend on how little you know about this movie going in. So I will try to keep this review as spoiler-free as possible. But in case I do mess up and spoil a little bit too much, then feel free to just stop. Feel free to just stop the video here. I'll tell you this right off the bat. But Weapons is really good, gets an A+, highly recommend it. Alright, are we good? Okay, let's go. Weapons tells the story of one night in a small town at 2:17 a.m. in the morning. 17 children that are a part of teacher Mrs. Gandy, Mrs. Gandy's class. All 17 of them at 2:17 in the morning got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, and ran out into the night. And they never came back. It's a month later after the incident, and everyone is trying to return to some normalcy while others are trying to figure out what's going on. The thing that really surprised me about this movie is how it tells its story, and that's what's so interesting. This movie actually jumps between multiple different characters for its narrative. We follow the teacher. We follow the teacher, Justine Gandy, played by I believe Jessica Gardner. I apologize if I got the name wrong. We also followed the father of one of the kids that went missing, Archer, played by Josh Brolin. We focus on a small town police officer, a drug addict, and a couple more characters that I won't mention here. It's a very interesting way of telling the film's story, always jumping between different perspectives. And because the film is so well written, you're able to follow it very well. It actually reminded me a lot of the classic Japanese horror film Ju-on the Grudge, because that movie did something very similar, following different types of different main characters' perspectives. And in fact, as much as I like Ju-on the Grudge, I hate to admit it, but Weapons actually does this better. As much as I like Ju-on the Grudge, one of its biggest issues for me is probably the fact that the characters aren't really that interesting. Whereas in this film, I really like all these characters. My two personal favorites, though, are definitely Justine and Archer. For starters, I really like Justine a lot. You really do feel for her in this whole situation. You could argue that the movie maybe makes it a possibility that she might know more than she's letting on, but I think for the most part, though, it's pretty clear that she's just as much in the dark about the situation as everyone else. And all the hate that's being thrown at this poor woman, you really do feel for her. I mean, Justine is not perfect. The way she handles all the stress and insults thrown at her is to hit the bottle. That doesn't make her like a bad person. It makes her human. That's another great thing about the characters in this film, though. This movie makes it so you can really identify with every single character in this film, even the side characters. All the people in the town that are angry at Justine, it doesn't make the insults and harassment right, but you understand where they're coming from. These parents have no idea where the hell their kids went. They're worried sick about their kids, and yes, the fact that all 17 of these kids were in Justine's class, that does raise red flags. And especially because we do find out a little bit later that Justine has a bit of a sketchy past. Even though a lot of the harassment that Justine gets, it's not right, but you get it. This movie does a really good job just showing how a situation like this really brings out the worst in good people. Archer, I also really like. Josh Brolin did a really good job playing him, and I really do like how. Archer is this very tough love kind of father who really does care about his son, Matthew. He really does, but he just has a difficult time actually expressing that love and compassion to his son. And it does make Archer a sympathetic character. Also, slight spoilers, but the movie does possibly hint that Archer might have served in the military at some point. Which when you look at the way Archer thinks and the way he tries to figure out what happened to his son, you can see that. It's done very subtly. the other characters are likable too. There's even this one character who, like, I'm not giving too much away, as this does happen early in the film, but this guy cheats on his wife with someone, and even he, I mean, you understand why he did it. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I have very little sympathy for people that cheat on their significant others. It's actually the reason why I cannot stand the movie Fatal Attraction. That's just my opinion. But even someone who really doesn't like adulterers, I can understand why this character does that. That's really the best part about the characters in this film. They feel very human. They're not perfect, but that's what makes them feel so human and genuine. So already right off the bat, we have a really good cast of characters. But the strongest part of this film, overall, is its ambiguity. This movie thrives on you wondering what the hell is going on, and the movie does a fantastic job keeping you in the dark most of the time. And even when they do reveal what's going on to an extent, you wonder how this is working at all. Like, it still leaves enough details in the dark to make you wonder. I'm starting to realize that is Zach Krieger's greatest strong suit when it comes to his writing style and directing. That was part of the reason why Barbarian worked very well, the fact that you didn't see where Barbarian was going. And Weapons works, for the most part, in a very similar way. The acting in the film is fantastic from everyone all around. The one thing I found a lot of people get mixed on, though, with this film is the scares. And I feel that is understandable. This is another one of those movies where critics were calling it, like, the scariest movie of the year. Which, I don't want to go on a small rant, but I do want to bring up that criticism really doesn't mean much. You see, here's the thing. Horror and comedy actually work in similar ways, and that's because both horror and comedy are subjective. What one person finds funny, another person won't find funny. And horror works very similar. I've actually heard from some people that they don't find the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre that scary and actually prefer the remake. I'm of the complete opposite opinion. I still think the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre works really well, and I'm not a fan of the remake at all, to be honest, but again, that's just my opinion. So, saying that something is the scariest film of the year, that criticism doesn't mean much, because that's that guy's subjective opinion. I mean, of course, there are special cases, like, they said Sinister was the scariest movie of all time, and the way they came to that conclusion was that the audience that watched Sinister, they attached that audience to a heartbeat monitor, and showed that audience a bunch of different horror films at that time, and Sinister was the one that got the highest heart rate. So, scientifically, Sinister is considered the scariest horror film ever made. But I have even found people that say they don't really get into Sinister. So, saying that something's the scariest horror film ever, that's a very subjective criticism, and it really doesn't mean much. And I find, nowadays anyway, it actually can hurt a horror film more. I think that's why a lot of people don't look back very fondly on Gus Van Sant's remake of The Ring. No, not Gus Van Sant's. Fuck, my bad. I'm sorry. Fuck, what's the director's name? I actually have a copy of the remake of The Rain somewhere on my shelf. Um, Gore Verbinski? Yeah, Gore Verbinski. The guy that directed Pirates of the Caribbean. I've heard, but yeah, like when Gore Verbinski's remake of The Rain came out, everybody was calling it the scariest film ever, and later on down the line, a lot of people watched it and found it to be overhyped and mediocre. Um, and I think that's really hurt that film, and that's a shame uh, because Gore Verbinski's remake of The Rain is actually a pretty decent remake. It's a lot better than a lot of the other American remakes of Japanese or Korean horror films out there. I would definitely pick it over the remake of Pulse any day. Seriously, fuck that movie. Anyway, but you get what I mean. So, what's my personal opinion on the scares in Weapons? Well, I'll put it this way. When I got home from the theater, it was pretty late at night. The power kept going out in my house. I have no idea why. I think it might have been due to the heat. I don't know. But let's just say that did not help me sleep very much. Yeah, I personally found the scares in Weapons to be pretty damn effective. And I think a lot of what makes the scares work is two things. One is its atmosphere. This movie really knows how to build up suspense and tension, and have the scare dripping in atmosphere and dread. And the other is the imagery. This movie has some really creepy as hell imagery. There's this one scene you guys probably seen it in all the trailers. It's a scene. It's a sequence where Justine has this nightmare where she goes into her classroom and finds all of her students with their heads down, and then this one student like slowly raises his head up from the desk, and he has like this red lipstick on or something, and he gives this creepy ass smile, and it's so creepy. Even when it's a dream sequence, even when it's a fake out, the movie does a really good job keeping you on edge. When the movie does get to the reveal, even when you do figure it out, the way the movie goes about it makes it extremely entertaining. That's another thing too. I don't know if I can say this with 100% certainty, but I do think this movie kind of has a twisted sense of humor. There's this one scene towards the end of the film where, not just me, everyone in the audience was bursting out laughing at it. And everybody really liked that scene a lot. And the dark humor and the humor doesn't it doesn't distract from the horror at all. Like, the two do correlate pretty well. The movie knows when to put comedy in and when to put horror in very well. If there any negatives that I have against the film are literally just minor nitpicks. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but it did kind of bother me where they didn't give much of a motivation to what was going on, if that makes sense. I don't want to ruin anything. I mean, the reveal is good. I just would have liked more of a reasoning behind why. I heard one person's review give this one suggestion, and it is a very good suggestion, but the movie doesn't ever state it. And again, this is just a minor nitpick, but I really didn't like how the movie opened up with a child narrating it. It didn't annoy me. It's just that it's like telling this like weird story, but I feel like having this like little girl or little kid like saying this story, I don't know, it just kind of kills the suspense for me. But I think that's like the idea. I think the idea is that this is a small town and it's turned into this spooky ghost story by kids, which makes sense. So again, maybe it's just me. Maybe I just find it odd. Yeah, those are all the issues. But that, with that being said, though, everything else in the movie is fantastic. It's a fantastic horror film. It has great suspense, tension, dread, atmosphere. It keeps you guessing a lot of the time. The acting is fantastic all around the board. The characters are incredibly likable. This is a fantastic horror film, and I personally think it's better than Barbarian. Weapons gets an A+. This is a fantastic horror film, and it's definitely getting put on my top 10 favorite movies of the year list. If you haven't seen Weapons and you're a horror fan, do yourselves a favor and really check this film out. Before I sign off, though, there's another reason why I did want to talk about this movie. Because as this film was being released, it was revealed that director Zach Krieger is actually going to be working on a Resident Evil movie. From what I've read, it'll be coming out next year, but I don't know how true that is. And we also heard from an interview from Zach that his film will be not really adapt any story from the games, and this has caused some negative backlash. Here's the thing, though. Zach Krieger says that he has a lot of respect for the games, and that while the story will not be like anything from the games, it will still take place in the same lore and world. Basically, Zach Krieger is going to be doing something similar to what the Fallout TV series did, having its own original story and characters, but very much taking place in the same world as in the games. Which honestly I have no problem with, really. Do I wish that Krieger would bring in beloved characters like Leon? Yeah, but I get it. Krieger said himself that everybody already knows Leon's story. Everybody already knows Chris's and all that, and he doesn't want to retell Leon's story because you already have 3 games about Leon. So I understand him wanting to tell his own story. And for God's sakes, at least they got somebody competent this time. Somebody who doesn't just want to make a Resident Evil movie just to make his wife look good. So, I don't know, it could suck, but at least we have somebody competent behind the wheel. But yeah, only time will tell, my friends. With that said, what did you guys think of Weapons? Did you really? I apologize for that. My echo just went off. That was weird. With that being said, what did you guys think of Weapons? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was okay? And are you excited for Zach Krieger's Resident Evil movie? You guys let me know down in the comments below. If you like what you see here, like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, because I think that might be happening. Alright, well, I'm Zach the movie fan, and tune in next week, guys, as next week I'll be doing a video on what's being considered the worst movie of the year. Amazon's War of the Worlds. starring Ice Cube. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, that's all I got for today. Later.